Welcome back to the FACEIT Ignite Halo European Open, where before the break, we saw Tox Gaming take their first opening matchup against Back to Classic. And we have got Right Treat on the desk. We have got Onset joining us up here.
I have been described as a Right Treat before. That's very kind of you. It was a good game, to be honest with you. Tox Gaming were tested for the first time, I think, in a few of those games. And, you know, they've had a very easy ride so far. They've kind of just reminded us how good they are, which sometimes, you know, it's easy to forget. But they are, you know, they're incredibly talented players, and that was a good showing from their opposition there, Back to Classic. They really did push them all the way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got some highlights just from that last series. I mean, myself and Harry, we got up off the desk, and I think they'd already won the CTF game.
Pretty
so we
much.
didn't get
It was
too much
2-0
of
in
that.
30 seconds.
Yes.
I mean, we were worried. Me and T2 were both like, Goose Watch? Are we going to see someone get goosed on broadcasts? And luckily that didn't happen. They kind of came back into it and made a real match of it, as we say. It was still a dominant Tox victory. You know, we have to call a spade a spade. That's what it was. But, you know, at least they were tested a little bit. And you see, even, I think, in the Narrows game, there was a killing spree that kind of surprised Snakebite a little bit. At the end of the game, it was like, oh, dude, I got blamed like 3 or 4 times in that. It's like, yeah, it can happen. And it just showed that there are some talented players out there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, really, because, you know, with Onslaught, I thought, like, you know, Tox would just have full control for at least 4 of the caps, and that's it. But I mentioned before, on Onslaught, you know, if you're 4 down, the first person on death screen needs to find out where that first nearest person is, more and more open person, and then try and take him down and go from there just to stop those back-to-back caps. Didn't really work out during the first 30 seconds when they got back-to-back caps. But after a while, they did stabilise just a little bit, but it weren't enough. Here, they almost got stakes, but at least they didn't have stake anyway, which is the main thing. But going into Construct Hill, it was quite close to begin with. You saw there from before that they were slowly trying to milk time as much as they can from Back to Classic. But Construct Hill is like that with most teams anyway. It takes at least, normally about the 8 to 6 minute markers where normally most teams will stabilise. But Boynesy did impress me the most. He did go +1 with most hill time. Didn't have as many assists as everyone else, but it might just show they didn't get out behind as
There was a
else.
couple of really important things that were highlighted by Back to Classic in this game and by Tox, the way that they played this Construct Hill. One is, when you have advantages, push those advantages. When you get numbers, push those numbers. And also, if there's one guy left on the map alive at gold on those side street hills, you have to kill him. You have to push him, because we saw APG do it the first time. He stayed alive, managed to come back out, get 2 kills, keep them out of the hill, and then allow his teammates to respawn there and lift up gold. But also, another time Snakebite did exactly the same thing, and it was like, you've just screwed yourself twice by not overcommitting for 1 kill, getting that player dead, and then you have total top control. Something so simple, which is so vital at this top level.
Yeah, because with the EU and NA kind of situation, you know, most EU teams will normally go for the objective as soon as they see 3 down or 2 down, but a lot of the top NA teams will go for it even before that's happening. If they can predict, they know full well that some of them are going to be down by the time they get there, and as they're pushing it, that just shows a really solid team there, and that just shows why they did so much better at getting the objective, especially on maps like Construct Hill and Guardian Bull.
Well, exactly. But that wasn't the only game that was going on during that first opening segment. We have Harry down on the floor to explain to you a little bit what happened with Aspire versus Lucendi.
Yeah, we thought that one might be a bit of a firecracker. In the end, it was a bit of a stinker. It was a 3-0 in the end in favour of Aspire, and Lucendi really weren't the team that we thought they might have been when we looked at that series on paper. It was an easy 3-0 for Aspire. They had a glimpse in Game 3, Construct King of the Hill. They had, I think I saw around a 50-second lead, and then apparently, according to Zyrus, I spoke to him after the series, they just let that bottom hill be milked a little bit too much by Aspire. And these are the fine margins at this level. If you let that much time go down low, then it can easily go away from you.
Were there any like standout players or standout moments from that Aspire squad in that series?
I think it's more important that we just see Aspire as a whole be able to come back from a deficit in that Game 3. That, to me, says they fixed the mistakes of yesterday. Jimbo, he said yesterday if he could give himself a grade for his Swiss bracket, it was around a B. They were happy, but still improvements to be made. For me, they've made the improvements to come back. Lucendi, no pushovers. They just took advantage of the mistakes that was afforded to them.
Well, thank you very much for that, Harry. And we get to check out the map scores for that series that we have just been talking about, Aspire versus Lucendi. Yeah, I mean, a pretty dominant showing from them, right?
Do you know what? I'm actually quite surprised how dominant it was, because yesterday there was a few questions asked. I thought they were quite passive on how they tried to do any counter-attacks, and even when they're doing the counter-attacks, they weren't getting enough damage done when they're trying to push top mid on Guardian Bull, for example, or not get at least 1 down, and we didn't seem to be in sync, and that's what I mentioned about these guys. You know, all tacticians and charge. Yeah, I was in a slaying power, might slow them down a little bit because of how methodical they are. But today seems like a different version of Aspire. You see the 5-0 straight away, didn't mess around. Game 2 is pretty standard, but you know it's like the Construct Hill. Normally it takes a while to stabilise.
That's a concern for me, the time-based game type again, because yesterday on Guardian Ball, they didn't look good. They really didn't look good, and I'm not one to mess around with my words. They weren't good enough. They would get hammered by Tox Gaming if they played him. And to win by 25 seconds on Construct Hill, that's not good enough. Like, if you're winning 5-0 on Onslaught and almost staking your team on Narrow, that shows a huge issue with your time-based game types. Now, you have to look at reasons why that is. Is it because they're overslaying? Is it because they're jumping in the objective before they got too many kills? Is it because they're not picking up power weapons and controlling the power-up? There's so many different facets of your game that have to be perfect in a time-based game type. And they are struggling from the results I've seen so far. So that's going to be a worry for them. They need to be really good in their CTFs and Slayers and maybe just chalk up that time-based game type as a loss.
Yeah, he's made a very good point then, because Construct Hill and Guardian Ball are the most structured game types on the circuit. It's the most involved in terms of what you want to do and the speed of it. But yeah, for the fact that those two game types seems to be some of their weakest, I would have thought with a team like that it would be their strongest. So
yeah.
a bit...
Thank you, by the way.
That's all right.
I made a good point.
No, it's fine. I've got your back.
We give compliments up here.
I feel like $1 million now. Let's go.
Should be all the time.
Yeah, come and join us more. Well, let's take a look after all the action at where that leaves us in our upper bracket. Let's see exactly what we're going forward with. Obviously, Tox Gaming will be taking on Aspire Esports later in our winners bracket semi-final, and then Mazer Gaming taking on RBL Esports. I mean, there's not really any surprises there. The team's going forward.
No, very predictable, especially with the scorelines as well. I'd probably say Aspire maybe expected a 3-1 from what I saw from scrim results, but Lucendi, even though that team actually managed to take 1 or 2 games off some of the top teams, they also lost a lot of games against some of the top 8 teams as well, so it's a bit 50-50 in terms of how I expect him to play offline. But looking at so far, 2 very good matches in the semi-finals. Tox, won't be much of a surprise if they do take that anyway. But Mazer versus RBL, I'll be interested to see how Mazer do, because there's a couple of players on the team where I mentioned earlier yesterday, how well will they actually do in the top 3? It's going to be questions asked here.
That's our best 4 teams. That's simple. Coming into the tournament, I think they're our strongest 4 teams, and no surprise to see them all in that winners bracket semi-final. But the thing I'm looking for, that Mazer RBL Esports, there's a little bit of like beef in there that I'm not going to kind of bring up now. I'm going to let Wonderboy talk about that a little bit later, because he's very excited about it, and I know that he can't wait. But yeah, there's a little bit of bad blood between some of the players on those teams. And obviously Tox Gaming versus Aspire, that's going to be the first real test, Tox Gaming. But Aspire, they have an opportunity to potentially knock, Tox into that losers bracket, and that could be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 4 teams we're seeing there, it's the 2 top teams from the EU qualifier, the top team from the NA qualifier, and then the 3rd place from the EU qualifier. So really, we really haven't had any upsets this week, have we?
No, not really. It's just some of the top 12, top 8 teams, and some of the top 16 teams were a little bit upset, but that's purely due to the fact that for a lot more practice could have been involved, and maybe they could have edged it a bit. Yeah, it was a bit strange, but in terms of the top 8, it's every team we could have asked for. It's only Improv where I was a little bit surprised about making to that winners bracket.
But of course, they just lost 3-0 against Mazer Gaming. Is that expected, right?
Oh, absolutely. That team, I've played against them a few times, and I was questioning their individual skill. I felt like it's quite easy to flank, it was quite easy to out-BR them. It was a little bit of a surprise here and there, but yeah, players like C1R and Diddums as well were quite good slayers. They were quite good in reach as well, but obviously not at the top level. But seeing them for the first time, they're going to be happy that they've made it to the winners bracket, because I think the first thing they're going to assume is, well, okay, we've got Freya, but we've got that warm-up. We've got our aim quite warm and ready for the next team, which is going to be coming up next.
Yes, exactly. Perfect segue. We're going to be moving on to our next broadcast game, Stush Gaming versus Improv. It's a lower bracket game, so it really is everything on the line for these guys, and we can see the maps that are going to be in the rotation here. What are you kind of thinking going forward with these 2 teams, Harry?
Well, narrow CTF. I remember Improv played that yesterday against Mocket, and they 3-0'd them quite comfortably. And what I really liked was, even though their objective execution was quite slow, they held a complete setup, and for every single flag they capped, it was clean, and they held their own, and they made sure everything was down to a T. So you can see their work ethic coming into play there. It might be because they're one of their better game types, but it's going to be a bit of a strain on, because Guardian Ball, both these teams will be a little bit inexperienced in terms of how they should counter-attack, but I look forward to see how Game 3 pans out.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you've got 2 of the slower, should we say, game types potentially flanking that game number 2 amplified which is probably the quickest TS that we have involved in the circuit. So you've got a very control-based game type in Narrows where you have the sniper rifles, you have the rocket launcher, and to execute a flag cap, you know, it's a case of getting those 2 rotations of kills. And then you go on to that quick-paced one where you've got to change things up all of a sudden, and then you go to Guardian Oddball, which we know is very setup-based, and you've got to get that Oddball back and, you know, rack up your time. So it's going to be an interesting one because we have that kind of change of tempo. So if one team struggles on the first map, they might be a little bit better in the second map, and it's going to be, you know, whoever might be the slightly more structured team might have more success.
I'm actually looking forward to it because I said earlier in the earlier series is the fact that with Stush, they said to me outside, if there's any team they want to play coming down from the winners bracket to the losers, was Improv. And they've got what they asked for, so they can't really complain now. But now that they've got to do the business, they need to see if they can actually make a name for themselves and do what they told me, and that's to try and make it to top 8. Because if there was any team in that winners bracket coming down, it was Improv. They knew that's their only opportunity, their main opportunity to try and get top 8. And I really feel like they could, because the 3-0 we saw yesterday against DeMonica was quite shocking, in my opinion.
Well, exactly. We're going to be getting into that one very shortly. But let's check in with our casters just before we head into the game to see exactly what they're thinking for this series.
Dan's got my jumper on.
Hey, look, it's like the Spider-Man meme, right?
If you actually look at the seating that you're on, Onset, just look below it now, and then look at this.
Look, where?
Look
I'm
at the
lost.
seat. Look at the actual seat.
This?
Dan actually wove this.
There's actually like a tiny little patch mission.
How
One of
tiny?
those stickmen cut out.
Yeah, it's like, it's about this big, which is, that's how big you are, isn't
He
it?
just told you small.
We didn't sign up. I didn't sign up for this.
Go on,
This is
go,
bullying.
call me bald. Go on, just make it.
No, it's fine. I
No,
know.
okay, you're going
I love
to
your
take the high ground. All right, thank you.
You love his hair?
Wow.
Yes.
If he's bald.
That was such a that was worse. That was like a backhanded insult.
Well, I think we need to separate you guys for a little bit. So, casters, let's take it away for the second matchup.
Thank you very much indeed. 11 teams down 11 to go. It's only 1 grand champion when all said and done, 25 grand prize pool. It's pretty fun. We're obviously in this beautiful arena. You can see behind us in the heart of London at Twickenham Stadium. So far, it's been good. It's nice to see some European Halo action.
It is indeed. We've, of course, seen Tox already this morning dismantle some of the European teams that are here, hoping to maybe overturn the North American dominance. But now we're into the lower bracket. We have teams fighting for their lives. Of course, only 12 left, as you mentioned, but there will only be 8 left after this round. And we've got Stush Gaming versus Improv, and we're already jumping straight into the action, and it's going to be Narrow's flag.
So correct me if I'm wrong, this is the last chance to dance for both of these teams. The loser of this, unfortunately, will be going out on the morning of Championship Sunday. Narrow CTF to open it up, Dan. Winning this one. It's not the easiest map in the world. Let's talk about, especially when you look at the... Oh! Okay, well, if you're going to start doing things like that and continue this one, looks for the spawners. Might be on the opposing side, though. It all depends where his teammates are actually lingering, which they are. They're going to be around the flag area, so they come off the back, and now they can pin them in the backboard, essentially.
And apparently everyone in this lower bracket wanted to face against Improv today. They felt like they were the most beatable team who were dropping from that winner's bracket, and Stush Gaming here, certainly from the get-go, looked like they're very confident. I mean, we saw them yesterday on Narrows as well. The likes of Namaster and Mr. They were just performing so well with the sniper rifle, and this is a nice early run. No one's contested, or is there? Someone has pulled a flag, so there is a couple of players here from Improv to try and stop this one.
Need to make sure you try and survive through that one. Unfortunately, does not. The flag will continue onward, and after that wave of slays, that should be the first one going in. The backup net flags out, supports their job done, 1-0. A minute and 15, not a bad amount of time to get the first one in. That gives you a good boost of confidence. And more, I think, yes, it's good for the confidence on the side of the team that will be bagging this one, but it just applies so much pressure. When you're in these loser bracket runs, or these elimination brackets, as we more formally refer to them, it does breed the best of teamwork and the best in teams, because they are playing for survivals. They have to play to the very best of their ability. But you have to have nerves of steel coming into this, right?
It's always difficult, especially when you've started in the lower bracket for the day as well, and it's your first game. You're going to be facing off against a team who is dropping from the winner's bracket, but tell you what, it doesn't look like it's affecting Stush Gaming at the moment, because Namaster, I mean, he was on a killing spree already. He's already picked up 2 more. He's on his way to a frenzy if he carries on, and he's being so precise with his sniper rifle shots as well. He's not wasting bullets. He only has the 1 remaining, but he's been firing 1 body shot, and then he's just been calling it out or cleaning it up himself, and it's what has allowed Stush Gaming to get all these flag pulls so far, because he's been hitting these shots.
Could have done with hitting that one and allowed his teammate to get the pull further. He did check the man cannon, and that was fine. It was the right play, and then dip down low and just give support where needed if they do want to go for a low push. Penguin, top mid. He is met with resistance. Kenneth here will clean him up. Needs to be aware of his L2 side. There is a player that might be underneath him now, may have re-rotated around flag or cannon, so they'll be aware of this one. The Master pushing out. Make sure you get your teammates a decent spawn and clear out the base, so at least you can get off that and try and make something happen and work this. The double will get the job done here for C1R. Killing spree comes through to boot as well. Benjamin is there for the support, and now the bounce begins.
And finally, Master goes down as well, so that should be enough to get this flag across. I'm sure there'll be a couple of resisting players going across the man cannon and some decent shots from Penguin there as well. You've got to be prepared to use your battle rifle in those situations.
To be able to dink him up through the gap and get the stop is beautiful as well. Use it to precision, uses the gap, and again, we kind of spoke about it a little bit yesterday and touched on it, how it's online is a different game to online. You are going to be able to hit those questionable shots, the ones that you want to think, It was a valiant effort. So was the rocket as well. I'm surprised it didn't go down, but does seal the deal with the battle rifle. That's fine. Play for time here. Again, you can run this with rockets, but there's always that side of it. As you do go off there, they will re-rotate below, and they'll be ready to receive you, which they do indeed. This is better. Okay, well, the dude he was probably chasing is actually just cannoned across, and now he can just clear out the back of the base, apply pressure. Leaves the sniper and just calls him out for his teammates. That's fine. Save the rockets for what you've got. Make sure you're in a good position to get this kill. Seal the deal, job done. And now we're at the rest of his... Wait, is that... Did he get the kill? Is that a second sniper?
He didn't get the kill.
Oh, okay, so I missed it altogether. Fair play. Sniper's probably gone down now because the rest of his teammates have dipped down low. Now we wait for the next wave of spawners. Yeah, and
I think Stush are going to be pushing up yet again and just trying to control this lobby from spawners from Improv. And they're doing very well of controlling top middle and pushing together as a unit, but Improv seem to be warming up the shots a little bit now. So I think Stush have to be a little bit careful not to overextend at times and make sure they're running flags when there's actually a couple of players down rather than just pulling it willy-nilly.
I think I'm just going to refer to it as SG now.
Yeah, that would make my life easier.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
I think SG, I mean, their logo says SG, so I'm just going to now officially be named SG. Hopefully they do continue further in this bracket, because then we can use it once again. Benjamin down low. Easy pick up for Penguin. Whoop. Almost the beat down rival shot, but doesn't land or doesn't connect. At least answers back for now. Kenneth nades both ways, making sure that his front and back are clear. Or even if they're not, they're at least damaged to receive the enemies as they do approach. One player R2 should be calling out for his teammates. Icon from... I'm surprised Icon took that really treacherous... Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one that he took the treacherous road across. His teammate should have been calling him out there. He knew exactly where he was. Does survive somehow. And actually, having no shield baits the player in. The L2 jump comes through, dips down low. Power up areas, now they know they're going to play a lurking. The Master needs to make these count. Even if he gets a body shot, that's fine, because one player in there to clean up. But also has to be aware of himself. There is pressure being applied here. He's a focal point for this team. The aggression comes through. CR1 shuts him down. That's fine. Now top mid's clear. If they can get the flag here, get the run, that's the double. They'll also might even be able to get the retrieval here. It's not going to be a triple. One nade should do the job. If he lays this down, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, and Mister's just looking around for this player who is top middle. But they do go down. Diddums does actually get the kill, but it is very messy at the moment. And in these situations, sometimes you just need to take a step back and reset, because you're not going to be able to grab that flag. Rocket's going to be popping up shortly as well. So now this could be a big run for Improv if they can get it across the map.
They all just dogpile in and ultimately die. Casualties on both sides. We dip down low again. He's met with two, so forces there. Rockets are up. There is an answer back. Two players will be aggressive on this. They'll apply the pressure, try and keep control of the Rockets. That could be a stick if it had gone a little bit more to the right-hand side. Three players now know his position, but no one's staring at him. Why not? You know he's there. Look at him. Shoot him in the face. Don't let him run around your area. You need to shut those individuals down, otherwise that'll break everything you set up. Penguin goes off the map, and that's fine. He gives up the Rockets for the greater good.
Yeah, Improv, though, starting to push up a little bit more, starting to get a little bit more aggressive, more confident in their shot, and SG seem to be struggling with the pressure, especially from top mid. And because of that, they're starting to push down low a little bit more, and they're man-canning more, and that's just opening up the map for Improv. Improv taking full advantage of it. It's a nice position from Benjamin. Just hiding and waiting, being patient, and that's a big grenade as well. That's going to be 3 dead for SG, and now the chance for Improv to push in, get the final kill. 4 dead, pull that flag.
He's got support down low as well. You can see the one player next to the sniper. They will bodyguard this one through. He's going to watch both angles. Good grenade, tanks the shields. And now standing. in this area allows him coverage of both down low and up high. Basically that one position there, by holding them and cutting off any kind of maneuverability they have and capabilities to get across the map, that's allowed them to put a second one in. Good job, good teamwork, good communication to pull that out.
It's very easy to get flag runs wrong on narrow CTF, and I think as long as you've got one player who at least knows how to position themselves correctly and he can kind of dictate where everyone else is going to be, then you're going to be in a good position. And now, with killing sprees everywhere for Improv, and finally they've taken the lead in this game, are SG going to be able to answer back? Master has impressed me with his sniping, so is Mister as well. On the other side, as he ends a spree, but he needs to now combine this with some communication with his teammates so they push up and they can finish off these body shots.
I like how he's not sitting back, at least. He is getting aggressive with this and moving up. Even if you don't want to call it aggressive, it's not just sitting on the backboards and hoping to die eventually or do nothing, because obviously spawning your teammates all the way far back and you're not putting this sniper rifle to good use. He most certainly is. He sees the new snipes up on the opposing side. The enemy one is down low. He might be able to use the base. Whip it, son. You'll love to see it. Pre-nades there. His teammates should be for the follow-up. Diddums does go down. You can see his body just goes flying, bent and broken through the man cannon. Sniper's gone. It must be in this one player that has just picked it up. And by that one tag, that body tag allows his teammates to get the kill and maybe even the potential punt here down.
Master's sniping really well at the moment. He's just getting these tags. They're so important because they're holding players back. They're not allowing the players to get through lobby and to push up and get to top middle. However, he does fall at the last moment, and now it relies on Icon here to do some real work. But the flag goes down, flag gets reset, and now he's just going to have to hide away and try and survive and be a sneaky beaver. But C1Art says, no hiding for you today, sunshine.
I'm kind of okay with that, though, rather than just bodying the flag and hoping you'll be getting some kind of touch. Been a bit of a nuisance to draw the attention of the enemy team down low to deal with you. Allows his teammates at the back on the opposing blue side to get themselves together. So they do that. They're alive again. They can chill for now. For how long, I don't know, because Red Team have actually made something. Actually have nothing, to be fair. There's the double. They'll continue the run through. If Diddum's watching the opposing side, they get this quite far.
And if they saw the rockets go down as well, they should be able to pick them up.
Oh,
Mister blows himself up. And now that's 3 players on spawn. I'm not sure they're going to be able to get there, Simpson.
Oh, he fluffed it down. He fluffed it. Could have been a stop. Being cautious. No one's there to receive it. 3-1. Job done. Rocket guy completely balls it up. The stop isn't there. Kills himself. If anybody was around him as well, his teammates, he will have done damage to them. And gifted that final flag. Yes, they had the players up high, down low. They had the numbers to do it, but they didn't have the power weapon. It was doable, and we can talk about the highlight shots all day long down. That sniper rifle was going to town on them. The Master was pulling off some big hits. But ultimately, it's not about the slays, it's an objective game type.
Yeah, going +10 and still losing isn't the best feeling in the world, because your teammates are probably going to be looking at you saying, all right, well, were you doing enough to help us with the flag? He did get flag capture as well, so we did see him on the other side of the map. He was making the objective runs, but ultimately it was a great start for SG, but it was just a comeback from Improv. Once they had got that top middle control, they just pressured so much onto the side of SG. And SG, unfortunately, just cracked underneath it, both physically and mentally, it would seem, especially with that rocket play at the end. Kenneth also going +8. But mainly, it was just the objective work that was a lot better from the Improv boys.
Now we are moving into a Slayer. We could see not too distant when we look towards slaying prowess. The frags were, I'm no good at maths, I'm not even going to attempt to do it, but certainly negatives across both boards and a couple of positives to boot. This one could be the saving grace. The Master might be able to do damage as much as he did in the previous round. However, there's no sniper rifle in play. You do get gifted by a lot of kills if your team allows you to do that. Essentially bait them out, let them just do the work, let them die up front and personal, and you just clean up whatever's left. So, provided the rest of the team is going positive, provided the rest of the team is doing the objective work, yes, it's fantastic. But when you're losing in such a systematic way like that, even though you've done so much damage, it's not the best way to be going out in game 1.
SG was so close to kind of getting those returns or getting flags in several different situations, but unfortunately Improv were able to clutch it up in certain areas, whether they knew they were clutching up or not. Especially when they were down a couple of players after the snipes from Master, they were really doing well on spawn to actually make it very difficult for SG to be able to pull flags. Instead of just marching out on your own and getting sniped again like your fellow teammates. Instead, they were sitting back in the base, they were hiding around corners, and then even despite the slays from SG, they weren't able to get that flag out of the base. And even if they did get out of the base, there was someone waiting around the corner being sneaky who would finish them off. And that's why they struggled. The objective work was just a lot better from Improv, and SG will probably look at that now with the rest of the series and say, okay, our slays are there, we should be doing all right in the Slayer games coming forward, but we need to improve our objective focus.
Well, that's your morning loss over and done with. That could be your warm-up game. Say, okay, mental attitude now, PMA, positive mental attitude, get yourself together. No one's really, I mean, we can't really hear the comms, but no one's really talking on that side at the moment of SG.
Focus. That's all it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of laughing on the opposing side, which is always good. Look at that, that is a focus. Dun, 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 dun.
He played well as well, did C1R in that game, and if he can carry on, his battle rifle looked crisp as anything. Crisp as an apple, some might say.
What happens if it's bad apple?
Then it's not crisp, then your BR shots are off, Richard.
Okay. Game number 2, Rock and Roll. We are in a Slayer, maybe SG Gaming. That's just SG, it's not just SG Gaming. SG can fare better on this one, we will see. Initially, things aren't looking good. Improv take an early lead, 5-1. 30 seconds in. How do you really play this map? Because I want to say it's about map control, but with how many angles there is to cover, it's almost impossible to kind of build something up for a length of time.
It's the spawns that makes everything difficult as well, because even if you have a lot of map control, you have to be very aware of where everyone's going to be spawning, you have to predict the spawns, you have to try and control the spawns as well, depending on where you are on the map. It's about adapting on the fly and being able to react to whatever situation you're put in. Especially if you're one of the main slayers, you can kind of hover around the map and just almost rotate in a circle continuously and just look for kills after kills of people rotating and spawning. But you also have to listen to your teammates. That's one of the best things on Amplified. You have to ensure that.
You know what? Speaking of listening, I've been told we do have a listening ready with Astro Gaming, so we are going to dive into the communication with Improv.
Going bed L2. One's their snipe.
Hawk weak, one shot L2. R2, one shot.
One's R3, XXL. One's L2.
L2, one
3
shot.
dead. Last guy's R3, XXL. Dead Mohawk, 4 dead.
Alright, are we done or?
No.
You got 10 more minutes of this. Your lobby. Don't do it, Blitz.
Let's make it look like we're trying to cut. Watch it, it's low. One shot on Donner.
Another one.
3 dead.
Back lobby, objective side.
Yep, X
Back
stage.
cannon side.
In their attic.
Cannon. On cannon, 2 of them.
Got my jump.
On cannon, 2 of them.
X stage. Got my jump.
Went to lobby.
Snipes up.
2 one shots to lobby.
I'll
2
get
one
ours
shots to
off the
lobby.
spawn.
Going cannon right now. Cannon door, cannon door.
Shot on X.
There you go, that's a listening. So we'll keep going around. We actually didn't have it in our headphones, so I can't construe anything we heard off the back of that. We will be getting it next time, so we'll be able to talk and deep dive into it a little bit more. But yeah, we'll be pushing those out a lot more throughout the weekends. Thank you very much for production for getting those for us. 24-22 down. It's fragile, but we're approaching that midway gap where around 30 to 35 you start to see fatigue kick in and you know, mindset start to crumble. And it's always around this midway. 30, 35 mark, if someone can just mind and mentally grasp what's going on from the opposing team and just completely do them in, the lead really takes a step up.
If you can get a 10 kill lead and Amplified, it's very difficult to come back from, and you can see Didim's there just cowering the corner hoping he doesn't get seen. But that's why it's important we jump into listenings, because the communication is so vital on Amplified. If you are headhunting one particular player but then you hear a call of a one-shot behind you, you've got to turn around, you've got to finish them off, because if they're able to get away and then recharge their shields, that can be so detrimental, because they can be in a quite an unorthodox position, and then they can be in a place where they can actually start slaying your own side. So it's very important you finish off those one-shots. A very tight game, as we are used to seeing on Amplified TS, between two very impressive teams at this tournament.
This could be a decent double. Nade's down. I don't know where he is as well. More than likely backed up into the base, but support does come through. It's a nice little hidey hole here. Grenade does the job at least. They'll get the trade. And the refrag as he does fall. Icons cleaned up. Good call comes in from Benjamin. Diddums will see the target. Penguin answers back at least. Comes in. 2-on-1 scenario up. 39-36, and all of a sudden from being drawn up, they extend the lead by quite a significant amount. So SG down They're turning this around.
Yeah, Improv have got kind of sucked into this position where they've all been diving bottom middle to try and win these individual battles rather than trying to get high ground and try and get into advantageous positions, and that's allowed SG to kind of run the map really, because they had one player who was sitting mid-gold who was just spraying down on everything, and it's Icon who's actually sat there at the moment, and then they've been rotating as a unit, which has worked perfectly. 3 of them together now. They've got a 4-kill lead. If they do kind of wolfpack this, they should be able to get there. They should be able to get the victory, unless they get hit by some sort of big grenade, and then we might see a swing for Improv.
I like how you touched on the positive and negative there. It's okay being a wolf pack and hunting down these individuals as a team, but provided they move as a unit, which they are doing, they are separating. Don't go off solo, but sitting back in the base with 3 players individually, this will be a big kill if he lands it. He doesn't. Good attempt. Double comes up from Icon. They puts him 1 step closer to victory. Killing spree comes through. You touched on him earlier on. Decent position in the games allowed him to claim victory down.
Icon really impressed me yesterday, actually, and I'm very surprised by the SG roster. I mean, the analysts were predicting that they were going to lose to Demonica yesterday, and they've now turned up. They've got into the championship bracket. Yes, they were in the lower bracket, but now they are tied up with a team who dropped from the winners bracket in Improv, and they have a chance to push through to the top 8 if they carry on playing like this, because the sniping's been there, the slaying's been there. As I mentioned earlier, though, it's just the objective work as well I'm a little bit scared about. That's what happens sometimes when you're a newly formed team, you've only practiced a little bit. You can be great at Halo 3, but can you come together on those harder maps?
There's a certain side effect as well when it comes to tunnel vision. You play in publics, it's like, you know what, matchmaking, I'll just go for power weapons. I love rockets, I love sniper. And sometimes you mentally switch off. This is a team effort. You know, we see various things that can happen and it can all fall apart, but this time it's actually answered back. Mister up top doing work once again. Master, not as big as before, but 411s across the board. Fair play, neutral on all accounts. That's fine. Benjamin, probably the worst statistically. Well, actually, I'm saying that there's a 13 and 16 at the top, so not too bad, but still, very fragile lead. It was a hard-fought battle from both rosters. We will at least be getting a game number 4. Could this be the first game 5? There is potential because these 2 teams look quite evenly matched.
I think there is definitely potential there. I would say the advantage goes back over to Improv now we go into 2 objective games, though, so they could end up winning 3-1 here if they're able to have as much success as they did in the first game of Narrows Capture the Flag. But Guardian Oddball, if we can see Master get hold of a sniper rifle and start to hit the shots he was on Narrows, it's much more influential on this map because there isn't a second sniper to take you down. You also are going to be able to help your team control ball time rather than trying to run a flag across the map. So I think that's going to be very important for SG. Get that sniper rifle into the hands of Master and see what he can do.
And because of that single sniper rifle, it becomes, if you have a very good team, a very, very good team where the communication's working, you're allowed to set up over at Snipe Tower or S1, S2 and play off the back of that. You have someone watching elbow. You have someone watching jump up over to S3. Those individuals become... It's a map where you can lock it down. You can actually get a full-blown setup. I mean, remember back to the day, it always gives me the feels of Lockout Ball, for instance, where you'd lock down B Tower, you'd watch under glass from Library, you'd have BR3 and BR2 completely watched. No one can really make an advancement across top mid. Going under glass is really your only way through, but then you have to have someone rush top mid, take out the library guy. On this one, it feels a lot easier to break unless you're going up against a really, really good team. If they lock this down, it is possible to set up at Snipe Tower and just dominate and really get some goddamn good ball time under your wing.
Snipe Tower is usually the easier setup to go for on the fly. My preferred setup would probably be over at blue, and I think if we see a team successfully do that, they're going to achieve much more of a chunk of ball time, but it's very difficult to actually get into that position, and you also have to have players who are very versatile in which positions they sit in. Sometimes when you practice a game type like this, you might be used to watching a certain angle, and you're not always going to be able to be in those angles because you might have a different player holding the ball than the player who's supposed to hold the ball. So you need to have players who are willing to adapt and change those positions on the fly.
Blue gives you much more emergency options and backup plans, right? Especially if we look towards jumping off the map. I mean, you will see jumping off the map on this, and it's a tactical decision rather than give the ball up. You'll go flying off the map and take the ball with you, then you'll get the reset. We haven't spoke about green as well. You can set up over at green. Moving between green 1 and green 2. There's a little corner just, oh, doesn't see him. Sneaky, sneaky.
There's so many different places you can set up with the ball, and that's why I think I love Guardian Ball as a map. is because it is one of those situations where you just have to say, all right, we are here, this is where we are in the now, let's see what we can make of it. Let's get a chunk of time with what we've been given. And it's not Master with the sniper, but it's Mr. who's managed to grab this one. Yep, I'll take it. He was hitting shots yesterday as well.
Takes him down underneath glass. I did think it actually gone off. Whiffs the first one over at Camo. Ball off thanks to the reset. He'll be able to bank the grenade off there. I'm surprised did he actually have any grenades in the barrel? No, he didn't. He'll just pick them up from S3. The initial ones will go down, so at least he can try and lock down snipe side. Check the lower glass. Clear. Now look over towards blue. Icon should be calling this out. If there's players in blue, you can already see and you can hear the bullets flashing. So he knows he's in trouble. Where are they? They have to be. You'd have to assume they're all locked down at blue. Here we come. The push, the aggressive stance real. CR1's the first victim to fall. Straight across again. Re-rotation at the moment, and this is now what happens. This is the bigger problem. They've taken so long to get themselves together. SG have been allowed to set up down. They have a real setup here, and this is going to be very difficult to break. Sniper is now down to one single bullet, so that's a bit of a saving grace, but really, what entry point do you go for here? You have to just be messy, try and break down the wall and work your way in.
They had to take advantage of that one-player man cannon earlier. When you send one on the man cannon, the rest of you have to just bomb over top mid or go through bottom mid. You need to do something because that man cannon was just useless. It was just a sacrifice for nothing, and now they've gained such a lead from it. And you can see the hesitancy from Improv at the moment. They're so reluctant to push out. They don't really know how to break the setup. And this is what happens with some teams who aren't as well practiced as the top teams. They're all well and good holding a setup, but it's breaking the setup which is actually what makes teams better than others.
Well, they have the setup, they have the ball time, and time keeps on ticking. Let's dive into the listening and see exactly how the communication is while they hold this down.
Flying from mid, flying from mid. Play ball. Two guys from mid.
Good shit, Sean. Good shit. Watch new ball.
Another guy low. Sniping on S2 or something. Cameron's 40
top gold. Oh,
Cameron's next minute. Cameron's next minute.
S2 sniping.
I'm on Cameron. Cameron's next
S2
minute.
sniping. We don't need the ball.
One's in green. I got shots.
S3.
I need
S3. Fly. Nade green.
S2.
One's my green, bro.
One sniping S2. He's going S3. One shot lift him. Cameron. Nice.
Dead.
Nice. One dead.
Help him on snipe. I'm pushing now.
Flying top mid, one shot. Nice, I'm grabbing
S2, Benjamin, S2. Come on, Benjamin, challenge!
Did you get him?
He's weak, they're going elbow, he's going elbow. S2, elbow, Shaw, your play. Nay, Shaw, that's your play. 2. Nice.
Pushing me green. One's in green, one's S2. Another guy green. Top green.
Top mid as well, did them S3, Sean.
Two there, last guy green.
I'm staying top green, you got me. I've died. Sean, get ball. Nice.
One's in blue, I'm playing sneaky. Stay alive.
Good shit, Sean, good shit.
It's not a bad little find as well. Sniper rifle after all that, locking it down.
I've got two things I noticed from that communication. A, the family aspect. He was calling him bro. I like that. That's always good to get you positive. And so polite with his smack talk as well. Challenge me, Benjamin. Yeah, I like it. I like the positive smack talk, just to get everyone in a good spirit.
Yeah, because back in 2005, 2006, it was horrendous.
Oh, yeah.
There was some really bad stuff said on the line, but we won't touch on that. It's all about the positive vibes, and positive vibes, I mean, to be fair for SG, I'm not surprised. This is a damn sight better than their initial objective game, but I think it all comes off of that slow play that we saw on the side of Improv, allowing them to set up at snipe, and you kind of called it perfectly, Dan. The solo push over to S3, if you're going to make that, then you'd expect at least 2 or 3 people to just flood the entire tower. Yes, it can be problematic because you're running into a lion's den, but if you have someone else being a point of distraction where you can disturb it, you can all just flood that area, break the setup, take the ball, take the power weapons. Easier said than done, yes. But solo pushing on a full snipe tower setup, always going to be difficult.
Yeah, one player pushing across cannon, dying to Mr., and then the second player pushing across top middle and getting sniped by Mr., and I think the other two were just then intimidated and didn't know what to do, so they waited reluctantly for the rest of the guys to spawn, but then by that time already 40 seconds had been chunked up as Icon's trying to get a double. Diddums does take him down, and the push has been successful. However, for all of the good start that has been for SG, if Improv can get a setup and they can hold this, then SG may find the same difficulties Improv did. how do they break that setup? Can they actually get across top mid successfully? Because it's very different coming to a Halo 3 LAN to what you're playing online. Online, 3 of you can push over top mid and 2 out of 3 are probably going to survive. However, on LAN, you can be shut down so quickly just because, of course, the connection is going to be way better.
And the problem is for Benjamin, he has tower for now and he has snipe control, but I think he's solo. Mauler's here, so Mauler on Mauler action. If the assassination as well, pre-nades are down just in case anyone wants to challenge him from this elbow area. You've seen the grenades already, so you'd assume that someone's at green lurking, getting the shields back. Yes, it is indeed. And the Master's there. There's a challenge, there's a push, and it's always questionable trying to hide on S2 in the open area. I'm surprised they didn't back off to somewhere on S3 and maybe try and see that one through and keep a hold of Sniper Alpha, but nevertheless, ball transfers back in the hands of Stush Gaming, and they got camo as well to boot, so they get defensive stance here. They could just hold it elbow, to be fair. They don't even have to move it on here. Stick it elbow, keep it here, slay them out, and let the time tick down. Considering
I was questioning their objective work in the first game of the day, well, they've certainly made up for that here in Guardian Ball. Their timing of power-ups has been perfect. They've been on board with the sniper rifle as well, so whether that's the coach behind them or whether that's just themselves making sure they're up to date, either way, they're playing well and they've got a 100-second lead, which is such a commanding position to be in with Guardian Ball because it allows you to play the game scrappy. If you feel the game is getting slightly out of the way and maybe Improv are starting to improve, no pun intended, then you might just find a situation where you could just start bombing into top middle. You can look for those individual fights. You can make the game scrappy. And because you've got that lead to work with, it's almost just like a backbone that you can sit on. And it's really nice to have that possibility.
Ball drop. Ball's rotated for now. Bit of a scrappy fight will go down and occur over at Snipe. Need to touch it before it gets the reset, which they do. I like this. He's not been overzealous. You can hear, we've just heard the lifts, and we absolutely know the players can. Expect the oncoming onslaught. Small rotate. Dips out to top mid and back up to S3. The idea was good. But there was players away from this one over at gold. Player does pick up Snipe, though. That's a double. Half the team eliminated now. Needs to be aware. Feeding this information back to the rest of the roster. That means they can collapse, maybe kill off gold. But they also have to pull back. Because Blue Spawn are down by shotgun. That local area is where they're coming through thick and fast. Waits for the camo. That's fine. If he did pick it up, it's burnt now. It's gone. And interestingly deciding to run an open one's a sniper playing around.
This is going to be really difficult again for Improv to break because the sniper rifle set up in the correct area. Penguin is watching bottom middle with the ball as well. He's got a teammate at green. Ideal setup, and even worse when Icon is just being such a nuisance behind them in blue. Of course, there is going to always be that downside of if he dies, then they're going to have a man advantage, which has happened now, but they've gained enough ball time that it was worth the risk, and they were so far ahead. It can just be so annoying when someone is behind you and being a nuisance like that. But great snipes again from Master, just giving them the situation where they can hold the ball for so much time, because if you are just going to push out through the top gold, you are going to be so vulnerable to those sniper shots.
2 players on the side of Improv with 0 ball time. I'd have to hope that this transitions to Slays and they are going hugely positive. If not, you have to question. Everyone should be really. You'll always have one guy that likes to play objective and maybe excels in that platform, but certainly is a team effort.
They've just not had the opportunity to hold the ball. They've only had really one setup, so there's only the opportunity for one guy to hold on to the ball, to be honest. And yeah. I don't think it's a case of them not going for the ball. I think it's just a case of SG have just been playing so well and holding the setups that they haven't given him Improv the chance.
Did him survive that, or did he go off?
I think he went off.
Could survive that. Would have been a lovely little fade away off the wall. Montage stick, 2 players straight out of blue. Communication, Benjamin should be receiving that info. He's top mid, hiding in the corner, getting his shields back.
So now we're going to see how SG are going to approach this break of a setup, because they're in exactly the same situation that Improv have been in so many times. They're all stuck in blue, and you see 3 of them just soaring out of window now. They got some shots onto S3. They forced him back to S2. As soon as they had that little bit of freedom, they're straight across the top of top mid. Yes, okay, there was no sniper rifle to push them, but now they pushed at the correct time where the sniper has spawned. This is pretty good stuff from SG.
Beautiful push. They flood top mid as a team, as a unit, cohesive. Communication was there. And by doing so, not only did they completely brutalize the entire setup that Improv had going for them, but they're rewarded with not only a fresh snipe, but fresh camo as well. So power weapons, power up, full setup, ball control. Oh, this is bad. This is bad for Improv.
Well, at least Improv learned the lesson, though. They put pressure on the sniper rifle, and now they're all pushing across top mid. But unfortunately for them, plenty of players waiting at green just to pile shots onto them. The communication and the coordination just seems a lot better from SG on this particular game of Guardian's ball. At least the ball has been taken back, but only 4 minutes left now, and there is a considerable lead for SG. It would have to be a complete switch up of play style and momentum if we're going to see Improv get back into this game, but very likely we're probably going to be ending up with a 2-1 lead for SG going into game 4.
Stick through it for now, run down the time. Penguin gets a haircut, 3 players move blue. Now trying to break this one down, sticks him on the back of the head. See when I can move this across. Headshot, beautiful. Job done. Triples there. Back whack comes in. Doesn't get it. Is denied instantly. Mister with the assault. And the Master comes in, picks up a double, and they can just keep ticking the time. I think this is the GG, Dan.
I'm liking the Mr. Master duo. It's working really well. They seem to be on board with one another.
Synergy.
Yeah, honestly, it's been there. Like, the communication has been allowed them to pincer so many different players on the map. And whether they've got sniper rifles or BRs, they seem to be hitting their shots very consistently.
We keep saying Mister. I wonder if it's Meister. Meister and the Master.
Might be Meister.
Either way, it works. It sounds good. It looks good. These snaps could look better, potentially, if he hits a few more. We'll be coming to that moment in the game where technically it'll be impossible to win. Again, I'm not an admin. I'm not good at maths. I'm not going to do it live on air. But I'd assume that you'd basically just have to hold it for the entirety of the game should you want to win this. They have hit the 100-point mark, so only 129 behind.
Yep, 150 seconds left on the clock, so there's always a chance.
Oh, it's close.
It is close. You have to hold it pretty much for every second, as you mentioned.
Well, we've got about 15 seconds, give or take, of shooting time if you do need to drop or reset. I suppose that's the saving grace on the side of Stush Gaming. When you have that kind of lead, you don't even have to necessarily go for objective. You could just keep bleeding them out. Just continuously kill, kill, kill. Hit the Tripsy. Doesn't quite, but knows where both of them mark and relay that information to the team. We should clear this one up. And now they've got the wave of Slayers. You'd assume we're in about 5 seconds of it being impossible to win this match.
That we are, Richard. That we are. And as you mentioned, SG could just watch the ball now and just be very passive and slay, and they know they're going to have the victory. And they know they're going to be going into Game 4 with a lead. And this is what they wanted. They wanted Improv in the lower bracket. They've been rewarded with Improv in the lower bracket, and now they actually have the advantage, and the possibility of getting top 8 is definitely within their grasp. I'm very impressed with this side. I didn't think I'd ever say that with a side with Penguin in, if I'm completely honest, but damn, he is a changed man on Halo 3. He's been performing so well at this tournament.
It's the haircut.
It is. He can
There's
see.
no human as well. We're saying that human was the problem after all this time.
I mean, I think that's probably quite likely.
Wow. So not only have you thrown him under a bush, you've thrown Spen as well to join him.
I'm more than happy to call out human.
I miss him. I miss his little vlogs and videos.
Is that a triple? No, not quite.
Not quite. Slayers at the moment don't really have to go for ball time. Both these teams know it's over and it's a job done. But still, we continue the game. We will see it through to the very, very end. We get the final score. You can even see the players know this as well. So.
Can we just end it? Come on.
Is it possible to end?
Let's finish this off. Even Didim's having a little dance. He's just trying to get a little bit of ball time to try and make himself look better. I know that score. I used to do that as well.
If you close the gap even closer, it might make you feel better. I know it's a loss, but it's like, yeah, we only lost by 20 points.
Well, if you had 0 seconds on the ball and now you've got an opportunity to get 30 and then no one can know you.
What were you doing? I was doing all the work.
But this has been really impressive from SG. Their setups were great, and the way they broke setups is what probably impressed me more. It's what Improv struggled with, and that's what separated these two teams on this particular game type. And going into Game 4, if they can carry that objective prowess into it, then they should have a good opportunity of getting through this this round and getting into top 8.
So it looks like SG have woken up from the initial defeat in game number 1. They win 2 back-to-back, take the series to a 2-1. Game number 4 could be the advancement that they need, but for Improv, they want to take this to a Game 5. They don't want to end their run here on Championship Sunday, first game in the morning. They want to continue through the lower half of the bracket. We shall see. Rolling into game number 4 will be the decider. Also decided if we get that game 5. It'd be nice to see a game 5.
Would be nice to see a game 5. We've not seen one on stream so far this tournament, but I'm sure the further we dive into the bracket and we get into those top European teams, we are going to have that opportunity. As we look at some of those statistics, Penguin with so much ball time.
0 ball time, 11 kills. Benjamin, his clan tag is "You okay?" I have to ask the same question. I'm going to say negative 13 there, unfortunately, with no ball time is not good, my friend. Need to pick that one up if you want to be advancing in the lower half of the bracket. At the top of the charts, though, 26 kills, 18 assists, even 24 and 20 coming up from Penguin. 20 assists also good across the board. I mean, you look at that, what's that? 50, 60, like 70 odd, 60 odd assists between a roster.
Stop trying to do maths. You just said you don't like doing maths.
I know,
live,
I look like
you
an
keep
idiot.
trying. No, you don't look like an idiot. You sound like an idiot. There's a very big difference when you're not on camera right now.
I beg to differ. I feel like an idiot.
Well, you're not.
You know what?
You were very correct in what you said.
I love casting Halo 3.
It's great, isn't it?
It's so much harder than Halo 5. I'm gonna put that out there now. It's a hell of a lot harder. I think that comes down to probably doing other games. You get used to the tools that are available. With this, it's just old school. There's your ATEM. There's your POVs. Stick something together. But it's fun. It can be so many stories and so many different like setups you can construe and put together. And just watching like people break these setups. Like for instance, I mean, this was a perfect example. We saw a proper snipe tower setup. One failed breaking of it, and then the second was a perfect breakage of it. 3 people rush top mid as a unit. Not only did they get all the kills, they get the ball, but then 2 power ups and the power weapon drops, and they just claim complete victory and dominance over the game.
And you're having the same struggle, I guess, as the players are. I mean, Halo 3 is a lot slower of a game than Halo 5, and whether you be casting, whether you be playing it, that is an adjustment that you're going to have to make. And some of these players have adjusted well, others in the tournament didn't adjust so well. They weren't used to the slower movement, they weren't used to the lack of being able to thrust around and sprint and slide a doodle around. But instead now, we've got 2 teams who are going toe-to-toe trying to achieve that top 8 placement, and it is a fantastic opportunity for SG, who could have been facing several other teams dropping from the winners bracket who probably would have given them a very, very tough game, but they've been given a chance here to actually break through into that top 8.
We'll run through the highlights before we get this game 4 underway. SG at the moment well and truly in the driving seat here. It was a bit of a fumble game number 1. But certainly turned things up for the rest of the series so far. If you are Improv, you have to dig deep now. Whatever's left in the tank, boys, you've got to pull it out. If you want to take this to a game 5, it's here or now, do or die. This is the life and death scenario. You lose this one, unfortunately, that's the end of the run.
Heretic capture the flag then is going to be game number 4.
So I suppose it was a CTF to begin with.
It was a CTF they would begin with. However, this isn't as much of a methodical CTF, I'd say. You can win off sheer slaying power because there is shorter distance to actually run that flag. If there are 4 dead, there is it's very likely you're going to get the flag across the map, providing you actually run it the correct way, you know where the spawns are, whereas narrows can be very tricky to actually maneuver that flag across the map without being intercepted.
So the game has begun. This is match number 4. You know what? This could be their final game. This might be, this is do or die for them. So let's have a listen to how the communication is and how the feels are over on the side of Improv.
Tell me.
He's gone off street.
Icons there, bubble.
Off street. Off street.
Icons there, bubble.
Yeah, I'm
They're
coming
bubble,
behind
mate.
him.
Yeah, I've backed off
He's
completely,
free,
mate.
free.
I'm not with you.
He's
Dave,
flag,
keep moving. I can get this guy. One shot there, window. Nice, I'm going to bring this car.
Running straight. Running car. P2, 1 shot. P2, 1 shot. 2 P2, 1 shot.
Is that
2 P2, 1 shot. Make sure we clean these up. Yeah.
Still weak. One pushed our street. Yeah, P2 still there.
Guys, I'm not running it. I'm not running it. They're front base. They're front of base. Endmaster's under their flag. Guys, our window, our front window. Icons 2 shots. Icons 2 shots. Our window. Icons 2 shots. Our window.
2 our flag.
Make sure we kill the 2. Our flag. Kill the 2 our flag.
Endmaster.
He's low on flag. Help flag, Dave.
Yeah, shot on him. He's dead, I got him.
Nice, I'm going to push where Ken was.
Car 2.
Yeah, C2.
Car 2, one's our bubble. Penguins 1 shot, their car door. One's our bubble, man. Who was on our flag with me?
Push their side, push their side.
You have to push over now. Fuck, man.
He's on sword.
I think that was one of our names. One
On sword as well, Penguin.
Kill this sword guy, kill this top big guy.
I've got shots on him.
Sword, shoot, sword.
Guys, they're nerd, go nerd. On nerd. Yeah, I know. Fucking hell, give me a second, man. Oh no! Guys, one there P, they're P, go on there Eli.
P2.
Nice, he's their window, should be weak.
P2. He's shot down, I think.
He's still he's P2, Icon, one shot, Icon's one shot on the right side, front door.
Penguin says street, weak.
Yeah, shooting him.
He must have jumped behind you, I think.
Dead. Nice on top mid. Their window, P side.
2 down, but they're car free, go in their car.
Yeah, they're car free, mister. This is their car free still.
Guys, I'm pushing car, I'll get the bubble if he's there. Guys, 2, they're car free, I've got 1. Go, their car door, Icon, he's gonna jump bubble. Their bubble, toilet. Oh nice, I got him, 3 down, 3 down, 4 down. Pull it car.
Still 4 dead.
I'm nading P1,
Nice,
Under their flag, going car. No, he's back down.
Yeah. Nice. Keep going.
Two their base.
Watch the tunnel, I got Penguin.
Nice, 2 down. Guys, I'm on P2. P2's one shot, dudes. P2's one shot. I'm going to nade front door. I'm going to push P, though.
3 dead there, still.
Yeah. Nice, I'm pushing top mid. I'm top mid.
P1.
Yeah, their window as well. Their window chasing flag. Their car door one shot. Mister's dead. Guys, 3 down. P1. And their window as well. I'm just trying to stay alive.
Got it.
Nice.
Push P.
Pretty decent Astrolist in there, and as we saw, Dan, okay, there was flag caps on both sides, but a double cap coming out of Improv. That's definitely going to set them going and gives you a big confidence boost going further into this game.
That's how powerful just one all 4 down could be if you do it right. They were shouting to move it car, as they rightly should, but after they got that first flag in, there was the opportunity with one player still in the base where they could run it car again. And there was some very loud communication, particularly from Benjamin. I personally think that can be a downside to a team if you've got one player overly aggressively screaming certain callouts, because it could be particularly distracting. But at the same time, they were able to get 2 flags because of it. So what works for a team works for a team.
I totally agree. I play with really low volume on my gates, for why I'm quite bad, to be fair, but it gives me a mental block. If there's even with the guns when they go off and when I'm shooting, it gives me like a mental block where I just can't seem to focus too much. We're talking about focusing, we have to focus on this. This could be the 4th flag cap of the game. We're all drawn up 2 apiece. 4 minutes in, this game's getting fiery.
Yeah, really nice reply from SG. When you can get 2 flags back to back on you, it can be very detrimental, and you can easily drop your head, and you can find yourself getting lost on the map a little bit, trying to work your way back into it. But they got top middle control again, they managed to push onto the P, and now they have full map control, and that's going to be 3 dead yet again. So they're just looking around to see where the straggler is. Is he at car? Is he at P? That's a sticky grenade to the forehead. And that's going to be a chance, though, still to run this flag, but because of spawners, I don't think this is going to be a successful one.
Blue screen of death, quite literally. I also imagine Twitch chat's probably just spamming forehead now because you've said it. You've set them off, Dan. You've awakened the beast. Speaking of awakening the beast, you need to take this beast head on inside the window. Penguin should have the numbers written here, especially with play it down low. Mister does fall on the opposing side. CR1 finally, he's out of the base, so they have to deal with this one. Did him trying to make something happen. The Master's there, gives away the position. Icons as well. He's got 2 players behind him running P. Pre-nades are down. Watch below the base, boys. Be careful of the flood coming up the lift. They're holding this side down. They're clearing out P. Where's that last guy? Is he down low or did he die as well? I think they died, so now they're making something of it. Straight off the back of the 2 down, they will continue the run, but there is an advancement there. That's an interesting pull. I think he probably should have maybe tried to stay alive there rather than going for the flag, because he'd run head on into them.
Either that or try and throw out the front window, I guess. But
yes.
I think it was just a panic situation where he saw the flag was out and saw teammates was dying. He didn't really know where to go with it.
He could have thrown it out, and if you throw it out, that gives it another focal point that teams can look towards and be a distraction. Speaking of distraction, you have to look on this side at the moment. The Master is distracted by the flag.
This is nice.
It would have been a lovely return if he had touched a hold of it. CR1, no idea where he is whatsoever. Death from above, P3, but they get the touch as well. He needs to make sure that this goes down. That's a good shot to the back of the head. There is a response from car side. The touch is there, the grab's in. 3-2. Can they make something of this? They need to make sure they don't get completely battered on arrival, which they do. The flag is returned, and now they're running outside the window.
Yeah, he didn't really know where to go with that Icon. He wanted to go P, but then he knew there was going to be spawners under the base, and it would have been detrimental. He still went out the front window, and alas, he died. But Namaster pulling off a really nice play. He saw the flag was coming his way when he was on the other side of the map. Rather than challenging it head on, just waited patiently, jumped up to P3, and then just in case he needed teammates' help, he'd be able to call that out and get that support. So nice heads-up play from a couple of these guys, thinking on their feet rather than getting too focused on one particular play.
It's so detrimental to your persona, and it's just so annoying when you get the flag all the way to your own base and then you just die and no one just grabs a hold of it. It's so you feel so bad, and it can really play a mental factor in games such as this, especially if it happens multiple times, and especially if they get a counter cap off the back of it. I mean, single-handedly, 2 players basically just flooded beneath the base there, came up the list. There was one inside and one even top mid who was laying down so much covering fire, waves and wave of covering fire. And then they kill them all, the flag's returned, and they get a counter cap off the back of it. It can be a real nuisance. Icon stopped in his tracks for now, opts for a different route, and that's fine. Picks up a double as well while you've got the flag. How's he managed that?
Really nice stuff, just making sure he's dropping that flag and firing some bullets as well at a couple of players who were weak, and that's going to be a 4-2 lead. And you're speaking about those flags just barely getting in. I mean, Halo has always been a game of margins, and you will remember those moments when you go home from a tournament and it's the difference between finishing top 4 or top 8 and it's down to a flag that didn't quite get in by a centimetre. You remember those for years to come. I remember them from 10 years ago when I was competing. You don't forget them. They're so hard to come back from, let alone in a game, but just years on, because you still think of them.
The famous ball game. Gonna throw that off.
Yep, exactly. Those kind of moments.
Gonna throw it off. There's been many of them in Halo. I'm sure there'll be many more to come as the franchise keeps on going. Infinite out in the future, not sure when, but still. Plenty of stuff to look forward to, MCC on PC being one of them.
Did you say Infinite?
I always say Infinite.
That's a nice throw though, and this could be the game.
Oh my God, that's
it's not going to be the game.
No, it's
the other way.
It's a nice cap though. It's very rare you actually see that happen. It's very rare you're allowed to get away with it, to be fair.
Yeah, I was just presuming it was going to be SG because they were kind of dominating the game. I thought they were going to be wrapping it up, but it's Improv now pulling 2 flags in a row, and instead of it being game, they're actually trying to turn this one around and make a little comeback of their own.
I'm going to keep saying Infinite.
Please don't.
It really triggers people. I've said it a few times, and it's fine. This is fine. I'm used to it by now. After working in a PC environment, the abuse I get on Twitter is fantastic. I love it. I just feed off of it. Memes and dreams. That's a back missed. Finally does secure it through flags on the way across the opposing side. That's a double. This one, Dan, could actually be the game.
Could be the game, but there is a flag that's been pulled out as well. So Master just needs to win this fight. It's all on Didim's really in this base. He's going to have to throw the flag out. He does have support from Benjamin, though. This is going to be really messy. He's going to go for the flag return.
Oh, he doesn't get it, though. They get the touch. Do they get the return? I think they do. Surely this should be a GG. It is. Job. They haven't got the return yet. Oh, this is so messy. Finally, they do. Flag should be there. They get it in. Team standing by. Job done. GG. 3-1 Improv. Unfortunately, will not be continuing their run on Championship Sunday. SG, however, do. They fight back after losing the first flag of the day. They actually claim victory in the final one, and they advance.
SG through to the top 8. I know they wanted Improv. They felt like Improv were the most beatable team, and they have proved that. A decent effort from Improv, who I believe are somewhat of a makeshift coming into this tournament. Of course, some old returning Halo 3 veterans in the likes of Diddums and C1R, but a good tournament from them anyway. Getting out of the groups and getting into top 12 was an achievement as itself. And I'm looking forward to, if we are going to have more Halo 3 events in Europe, seeing those familiar faces yet again. But I've been really impressed by SG, especially Master and Mister, but of course Icon and Penguin, they've been doing big things as well. So I'm intrigued to see how they do now going into the rest of the tournament, Rich.
Icon's only 14 kills, but keeping the deaths low, 15. That's a -1, but when you got 3 flag caps to yourself to help your team to victory, that's what it's all about, objective efficiency. Good game from Ben this time when it comes towards the Slays, definitely turned it round, 24 and 14. A nice positive 10, but unfortunately, again, it was an objective. They lose the second flag of the series, and with that, we'll go crashing out of the tournament. Good job from SG, though. Nice little roster, nice little team. How much further they can go, though, and how the little flaws here and there might be picked apart by some of the more rounded rosters, that is a different question altogether.
Yes, I think they will struggle when they face the upper echelon of European teams like Aspire, like Mesa, of course, if they were to face Tox. What would be an interesting game for me, though, is them against Tea and Crumpets, if that were possible to happen in the lower bracket. I'm not sure it will be, but I think they could give Tea and Crumpets a good game, actually, from what I've seen in this tournament. So that will remain to be seen as to how the lower bracket pans out, and I'm sure Freya and the rest of the guys on the desk will point out the bracket for us and how that one is going to pan out later.
We'll take a quick review of some of the kills in the previous round and the one that solidified the deal. Nice little bit of ball time there. Basketball, you know, slow up and over, alley-oop. Top
Yeah,
mid.
sometimes you've got to be throwing it and you've got to just rely on your teammates being there. But this is the final moments when it was getting a little bit messy and some big kills from Penguin. Not only did he stop the return there, but he then picked up the flag and then also pushed out to get another flag return as well. So Penguin playing very well right to the end of that game.
Job done then. Congratulations, SG. Advance in the bracket. For now, I believe we have Wonderboy down on the floor with an interview with Icons.
Thank you very much, Sims. I'm here with Icon. Congratulations, mate. A wonderful series. Penguin said yesterday you guys wanted to play those guys. Are you glad that you got the chance? I noticed that series was a little bit loud.
Yeah, I'm glad we got these guys because online, like, we scrimmed for about past month and it was always close games. At first, I said to Sean, you know, like when he was coming in, like he had to sort of change his play style because with them, they kind of like bunch up together and they're good at singling someone out. So yeah, we were a bit practice with them and I'm glad we got them.
Let's talk about the series. Obviously, you did drop the one map, but got the 3-1 win in the end. Was there anything surprising about that series to you?
Well, yeah, I think you know, them taking the game one. Narrows were not too good at the start, and I think I actually grabbed the flag, and yeah, that surprised me. I grabbed the flag, and it didn't grab it, so then they end up reeing, and then from there, it just, yeah, they went on.
You're top 8 now with that win. Can you guys go any further?
Yeah, I believe we can go further. We've been playing for quite a while. We got nothing to lose, so yeah, like we got nothing to lose. We made it to where we want to make it to, so yeah, why not? We're just going to play our hardest, and yeah.
Awesome, Icon. Thank you so much, mate. Congratulations on the win, guys. Do not go anywhere. When we come back, we will have more Halo 3 action at the FACEIT Ignite Halo European Open.